Deja scratch. Chiki wiki. Mambo ni live. We? Sound imekuja? Hebu kwenye comment section mniambie ni ngoma gani tulikuwa tunaimba tukidance. Hebu tuone na kina nani wako awake. Tulikuwa tuna dance ngoma gani hapa tukiimba? Tulikuwa tunaimba wimbo gani tukidance hapa kwenye comment section. We still have one more to go. This is the last one. This is the last one, guys. Thank you for staying with us through the day and through the night. It's going to morning. I thought today we'll finish this one early. I have a meeting at 7 a.m. I'm just like, man, but niko sasa nikilala. Sasa unajua zile mitu unajambia ndakimbia nipige ndio nilale. But nimeangalia schedule yangu. Kesho hakuna kulala during the day. Guy, I'm just thinking, should I kanjol? Should I call and say, hey, maze, kidogo. Damn. I think wimbo ringtone. Ya Jimmy Gates. Wanyola. Mark Muga. Kutu makutu. Welo. Tuheshimu ndoa. Mambo ya Mungu. Omosha na lala. Hiyo ni wimbo ama ni kitu mna nini one time? Tunapaa juu. Huyo tunapaa juu na hura tete umeipata. We are listening to hura tete. Kuteseka ni kwa muda. Kuteseka ni kwa muda. Hata si tutateseka tu kwa muda tu. Alright, tukipiga hii wana wengine tamu, itakuwa fiti. Alafu sasa tulale 2 hours. So ni bado tricky. Unalala 1 hour, man. All right. So Davido, situende kazi maze. Nipe introduction tusonge nayo. What's up, everybody? Your guy, Top is in the building. Good morning. Yep, it is 10 minutes to 3 in the AM. Yes, in Kenya. Yeah, that is, wanasemanga? East African time. East African time, yeah? Yeah. So it's 10 minutes to. Alrighty. But thank you so much for still staying awake with us. We know you don't have a choice. Hauna usingizi. Yeah. Na hauna mutu. Mnyonga na usingizi mkataka kukuja. Umeitafuta huku chiki wiki haikuji ngo nyenye bubu huko na sisi. But thank you so much. If you haven't watched the previous ones, make a point to do so. Alright, we still have one more to go. This is the last one for today or for yesterday, but we are finishing it today. So let's stay strong because it's going to be a story that you want to listen to. It's a story of I'm looking for the right English word to mean kuinuka tena. Nini hiyo? Rise. At the story of rising. No. A new chapter can't do, but there's an English word for, let's talk about rebirth. Yeah? More of a rebirth, what? Renaissance. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Sawa.
Watu wamesoma huku. Guys, ni saa 9 asubuhi. Kama una akili zimelala. Si hata tu kwa tumejua hizo words. Kevo is like, huh? Renewal? Hiyo ni matiaronga. Azima Pauline. It's fine. Yeah. So We are going to inspire and motivate you, but above all, we aim to educate and entertain. That is Obinna Show Live. And when it's Monday, you know it is time for some good vibes. Of course, my suit is from Art Young Tailors. Hao ndio amenipatia suti moja polite. Ngoja, Davido amevaa ile nini ya maraga kwa kichwa ama naona akiwalai Davido amevaa hii ni kitu ya maraga. Nimekuwa nashangaa ni luku gani? Si Uhuru bag, si ndio inaitwanga maraga. Uhuru bag pia inaitwanga maraga. Ona. Nimekuwa nashangaa niko like mkisi amevaa nini? Mbaramba na imemtoa luku. Now Davido, that's your look, bro. Aduna ficha airline. Davido usikue hivyo. Wacha kukua hivyo. Wacha watu waone luku. Ni nini wewe hutaki watu waone luku? Vundi ni moja tu. Yeye hajashona na vundi. Yeye hata Art Young Tailors haizi tembea nayo. Art Young na Bolo. If two fundis will come together and make this, that company is failing. So guys, I want you to get onto Art Young Tailors and get a very nice suit for yourself. Alrighty? Besides that one, we are still live from Samaki on Otharo. This joint and seafood, amazing. Passed by ample parking space. There's a car wash on site as well. And now they've also introduced a little bit of shisha, so you can come by and take a good chill on this area. Alrighty. So I think this is gonna be the third time on Obinna Show Live. I think you've come twice.
It should be the second time.
Should be the second time. You only came once?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So for the second time on Obinna Show Live, Makoto Valley. The prodigal son is back. Yeah, Khalif Kairo. Niaje.
Niko fiti.
Welcome.
Asante.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm fine.
You okay?
Yeah.
Are you like fine, or you're finally a man? You
No,
know,
I'm
men
fine.
are always, I'm fine, lakini they're battling a lot of things mentally.
No, I mean, the path of being a man entails that you have to battle a lot of things.
Yes.
There's no easy road for a man.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. But so far so good. Your mental health?
No, yeah. So far so good.
You're getting back there?
Mental health is okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I always protect it. Yeah.
How do you protect it?
I pray.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's the secret?
And read the Bible.
Ah.
And stay away from bad energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's a time I did a video about you. And I said, I want to be Khalif Kairo. You saw the video?
Yeah, I saw it. With the with the phone.
With the phone.
In the Range Rover.
No, that was a different one.
Oh, that was it. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a video I did and I said I want to be Khalif Kairo. Like he'll wake up today and he'll be in Joburg and tomorrow he'll be and that. There's a video like that I did.
Yeah.
And then we saw things take a different turn.
Yes.
And even during the Gen Z movement, you are very vocal about everything.
Precisely.
And you're like, yo, Cairo, man. And you guys were like fighting with the people. And you're like, okay, he's fighting for us.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you kind of went back to your corner and you're like, hey, I'm not going to be doing this. And people really bashed you about it.
Yeah.
You're like, I've chosen not to. You're like, he's been paid and everything.
Yeah.
And then after that, we just saw a shift in the paradigm.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, things started happening and things started getting said.
Yeah.
I never spoke about it.
Okay.
The reason is this. I know for every story, there are three sides. There's the Khalif Kairo story, there's the other side story, then there's the truth.
Precisely.
Every person will say a story that fits their truth and paints them in good light. Doesn't matter what is happening. And I always normally believe everything that happens for a reason. And for every man, there's a season.
Yeah.
I've been through some pretty dark seasons, and they come and go. Life is like this. And I always see, when I see another man being beaten and done for a lot of things, I'm always like, hey, that could have been me. And I will not react if I don't have the full story. Because before, I've reacted in a couple of stories, then later I'm like, hey, I should have known better. So I saw your story, and I never spoke about it really, because I was like, hey, there are some extra forces that are at play here, and I'm going to choose to let me decide and because pia mimi naongeanga sana. Mimi mdomo yangu inaongeanga, ningesema naongea tu hivi. Tena mimi tena niambiwe wewe kwanza kuja kaa hapa. Okay? However, I felt for you.
Yeah.
And I would commend you for staying sane the whole time. Like, I was looking at some things happening to you, I'm just like, eh. And you're sitting like, the first video I saw some police officer harassing you in some office.
Those were officers from Nairobi area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that policeman harassing you, and I was just there. I'm like, so your purpose is to embarrass him. Your purpose is not even to do the job. And some police tend to do that.
Yeah.
When they arrest you, they want to slap you, they want to shove you, they want to show you the might and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember even when I was having my issue with my current ex, and I told people about this, and the DCI were looking for me about trumped-up charges.
Yeah.
And when I went to the police station with my lawyers, and the way the guys had been given a brief, I was a bad person. I had not even spoken or said anything, because I remember when I was there was this officer. He's now my friend.
Yeah.
I was actually with him today. And he got in there, and he came, and he wanted to take my fingerprints. And he came in there, and all my wakilis were kajam. What do you mean? What are you taking in? And he was there. No, amuka bana tu nini. And he was there. And I was looking at the guy, and twende kwa hii room ingine, na tukafika, and he picked me and he started taking my thumbprints.
Yeah.
And I'm there, I'm looking at the guy. I don't remember what happened. And someone spoke about you in that room.
Wow.
And they said, munajifanyanga sana nini, munaona kama Khalif Kairo. It was a DCI office.
Yeah.
And I told them, that is where people go wrong. My wakili was there, my bro was there. I think Roba was also there. So they're taking, kuna venye inafinywanga, wanafinya, sijui nini, wanafinya, kwa hiyo nini.
Yeah,
yes,
they roll it. I've actually become quite familiar with the procedure.
Yeah. So that was happening, and I told the guys, they are the same with us in the room, and I told them, this is where we go wrong. Most of us men, we see another man going through a situation, and we just assume.
Yes.
And we don't know the truth. Hapana, si amekuwa naibia watu. I'm like, do you have the evidence for that? Ama you're following what you see on social media?
Yeah.
What do you mean? For example, me, I've come, I've been harassed, and now this is happening, but you guys don't know what is happening.
Yeah.
But the way you're treating me is like I'm already guilty. And we started talking about different things. And actually, when we ended the conversation, you guys were like, by the way. And later on, after the whole story came out, my story, and I brought my evidence, and they were realized, huyu dem alikuwa na kamna hii story. So later we became buddies, and nowadays we are very cordial.
Yeah.
So that is why when I saw your story, I was like, I'm not going to talk about this because I don't know the full truth.
Yeah.
And he's going to rise again.
Yeah.
And if he falls again, he's going to rise again. And I just hope he doesn't throw in the towel. And I would commend you on staying strong. I don't know the full truth of the story of whatever happened. And we might or we might not know eventually. But what jazzed me was when everything happened and somehow you came back and I saw you again riding the bike. I saw you in the car. I was like, oh, wow, okay. That is something. And a lot of people had a lot of opinions about what you could have done. You could have kept quiet. You could have not spoken. You are very loud. You took at people online. You told them your child's motorbike could feed people.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
You told people you can have breakfast where, and supper where, and a lot of things.
Yes.
And I was just like, young people, you are around, you've not gotten to 34, right?
No, I'm 28, turning 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when young people are in that age, we say and do things that sometimes we sit down and look back and are like, okay. And that is why I reached out to you and I was like, hey, bro, are you available? You want to come to the show today? The purpose for this show is to encourage and to inspire young people. And this is how we're going to start it. A lot has happened around you until now.
Yeah.
When you look back, is there something you feel, this one I could have done differently? And maybe this could not have happened? We can start from there.
I think my biggest mistake in terms of business, number one, is trusting too much. I think, sometimes God entrusts us with very huge blessings, and we end up delegating very sensitive things to people who we trust.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when I sit up and I look back everything that has happened in the past few weeks, I think I look at it from that perspective, that we that we trust too much. And what else do I really think I should have done? I should have done better. I think there's also the element of sometimes just watching things, as you're saying, just letting things kind of play out. Because sometimes we are young. We think, when you're young, you become an idealist. You want things to be done in a perfect way. You think you can change the world. You think you're Superman, and unfortunately, the world doesn't work like that. Quite unfortunately, you can have all the best ideas in the world, but until the moment when you start implementing ideas is when it actually hits you that it's actually a tall order than it might look on paper, or when you conjure up in your brain when you build that idea. Yeah. So I think I've been more of an idealist. I have an assumption of how things should work, and it doesn't always play out like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pamela, situsaidie Cairo na kitu ya kunywa jamani, alafu ndio mgeni amekuja jamani, mimi na maji moto, mgeni hata maziwa. Pamela alishaenda huko. Okay, Pamela ako missing na stupid boy pia ako missing. Ako jiba kajat.
Hi,
Pamela, have you ever met Cairo? Ulikuwa umelala? Oh yeah.
Niaje? Pole. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Poa?
Yeah.
I think I'll have tea.
Okay.
Chai. If it's available.
You don't want me to know you?
Oh, my name is Cairo. Sorry. Apologies.
Okay.
And it's a pleasure to meet you.
I like the space on your tooth.
Asante.
You like what?
The space on her tooth.
The space on her tooth.
Yeah.
Huyu msichana anafanya ni blush bana. Saa 9 usiku.
Oh wow. Okay.
Asante.
So,
Yeah.
what can I offer you?
I'll have African tea. It's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Fine.
Asante.
Obio na blush.
Hii imenipata off guard.
Yeah, hata mimi I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when did you get out?
It's actually been 30 days. Today marks 30 days since I was released.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was at the Nairobi Medium Prison. So there are actually 2 prisons. I didn't know. I realized that the day I was taken to prison. So there's what they call Jela Kubwa, which is I
Like
think
industrial area?
Industrial area has 2 prisons inside.
Okay.
This is actually quite intriguing, because there's the big prison and there's a smaller prison on the edge. So matters that are taken to Kibera law courts typically tend to end up in the smaller prison for non-violent offenders. Okay, I don't want to say non-violent because there are a lot of guys there with serious cases, but some cases typically end up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aya, I want you to walk me through, so at
Yeah.
least you can get an idea.
Yeah.
You went to court.
Yes.
Then after court, you are told you're going to, was it like, it's like remand or it's prison?
Yeah. So I went to court. I mean, by the time they were taking me to court, I mean, the arrests had become pretty routine, and there are forces behind these arrests. They are not normal. These things, the smart ones can see there are unseen forces that have been pushing these arrests. So the last time I went to court in Kibera, I was not given bail. So you see, the last time I went to Milimani, they gave me very high bail, which we paid. So the second time, they didn't give me cash bail. I was given what they call a bond. So there's a difference between bail and bond. So bail is very simple. If a court tells you, you've been granted cash bail of 100,000 Kenya shillings, that simply means you could go to your phone, utumie mtu hapo nje, akulipie on the spot, and you're out. It's that simple. But the bond process is very complicated because someone has to bring an asset. So when I was inside and we were saying that we are trying to process the bond, it wasn't the money. It was the process of having the asset verified. So in this case, it could be a vehicle, it could be a piece of land. For some instances, it could also be a pay slip. So the moment they gave me bond at the court, my lawyer tried to protest. The request was not considered. I tried to protest, and I raised my hand and I said, look, these issues, are civil in nature. You know, I'm not a criminal. We're just having challenges as a business. And, you know, my objection was overruled. And yeah, so I knew this was it. I'm going to industrial area. And funny thing, I wasn't scared. A part of me was anticipating that something like that would have happened. Because a lot of shady things were happening. So I knew ultimately we were headed in that direction. I could, you know, there are sometimes your own instinct always prepares you for some of these things. So I remember I went to court in a suit, gray suit. I was with my aunt and my uncle. I told them, just buy me Crocs, tracksuit, t-shirt and a jumper. They bought them outside the courts, wakaniletea. I changed quickly, and I went into the big bus. So we drove, very interesting drive. You know, you're seated there on that bench, you're reflecting, and we got to the prison. And yeah, no, this is the crazy part. Everybody knows me. The wardens know me. So hata nikishuka, niaje Khalif Kairo, ala umeletwa huku, you know. So I go in, they normally do a search. So for remandees, it's not that, it's a search that is very...
No, that thorough.
Yeah, that really, I mean, they're very professional. Yeah. And yeah, so they took me to the ward. It's basically like a dome. So it's not a cell. The smaller prison is basically like a dome. And voila, it's a cell full of young people. Very many young people. From Kibera, from Kawangware, from Dagoretti. In fact, I met people who I grew up with. Wako huko. Hey. Some, mtu amekaa huko for 1 year. Kesi yake haijaanza. Yani people just have a lot of tragic stories. But those people took me in, like one of them. They protected me from the first day. They gave me 2 mattresses.
No way.
They gave me 2 mattresses.
Ozi.
Hey, they're like, hey bro, si uko na TikTok, nini? And I was like, mimi nilikuwa nafikiria ndakuja huku kwanza nipigwe makofi niambiwe wewe ni nani kwanza nini, you know, but you're just finding guys, watu tulikuwa nao streets time ya Gen Z ndio unapata huko. Anambia ni aje tulikuwa nao, unanikumbuka wewe, tulikuwa nao parliament. And yeah, so the first 10 days I slept. And it was the most peaceful time. In fact, I read the entire Bible up to Acts, from Genesis to Acts. I'd wake up there's normally a count at 6 a.m. So at 6 a.m., they have to wake you up. You have to squat, so they have to count the entire prison. It's crazy. Inaitangwa kaba. And what I realized with prison is that basically just ingia tu kwa line. Don't pretend that you're special. Just like you're just another prisoner under the role, under the prison system. So unakaba. The next count will come at 11. So that whole time
11 a.m.
11 a.m. So mimi nilikuwa nalala 10, 6 tunakaba. I sleep until 11. And then from 11 all the way until 6 jioni, I'm just reading. I actually spend so much time reading. In fact, I read so much. I read very many books. I read the entire Bible, as I'm saying, up until Acts. I didn't go past the other books, but I read up until Acts. I read Elon Musk's biography. I read the 48 Laws of Power again. And there's a book by a guy called Jacob Aliet, Unplugged. Very interesting book. I also read How to Slow Down in a Fast-Moving World. So for me, it felt like, I think God gave me a bit of time off. Because I was carrying a lot of pressure. I was living in a lot of uncertainty. And at one point, I strongly believed that my life was in danger. So it's been a very crazy ride. The forces that are fighting me are not normal forces. I'm a very young person to be undergoing some of the things that I'm undergoing. If somebody tells you it's business, that's a lie. There are people, very powerful people in this country after me. And being in prison, funny enough, felt very safe. Which is, I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it felt very safe. I made friends with a lot of the guards. I made friends with a lot of the young people. I spoke to them. They'd come, they'd consult me. They'd have all sorts of questions about cars, about flying. And we'd spend time, if I'm not reading, talking, advising them. So it was a very interesting experience.
Chakula?
Okay, the food is bad. But, prison is a very interesting place because, you know, you have to give it to the Kenya Prison Service because they even canteens nowadays. So if you want to eat snacks, I mean, you register your cash with the canteen, so you can have some mala, you can have some queen cakes, you can have some milk. They even have DSTV, which is pretty interesting. Yeah.
In prison?
I swear. Yeah.
Mulikuwa mna watch DSTV?
Yeah. I mean, prison reforms are actually real. They've got screens, they watch football.
Wow,
Nice.
I
mean, I realized Manchester was at the bottom of the table in prison.
Oh, wow, really, Cairo? Unajua hii kipindi naweza ishi hapa.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it was a very interesting experience. And you know, just for once I just felt like, okay, so this is the worst. So this is what I've been fearing. This is the boogeyman.
You know, once it gets there.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
So
already at the
umenifikisha
bottom.
mwisho.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you've won.
What next?
Nimefika mwisho. Have you cut off my hands now? Do I still have my brain? Yes.
Let's
so
do
what
it
next?
again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Bed bugs?
Sorry?
Bed bugs?
So, okay, bed bugs are actually a problem, but it depends with the hygiene of the ward that you're in. It all boils down to hygiene. So I noticed that prison life is a reflection of society, in the sense that this is the way you'll find rich guys chilling in Kilimani. You know, even in prison there's that thing. Kuna watu kule zinaitangwa pipeline. Poleni watu wa pipeline, but this is like the truth. There's an area where everybody sleeps, you know, like, and the other nicer sleeping areas. So those ones zinaitangwa state house, in quotes, state house. So it's basically a reflection of society. If you sleep in the nicer areas and you're paired with nicer people, not nicer people really, but let's say a bit more well-off people, you'd find quite a number of them are very conscious about their cleanliness. Yeah. So, you know, by then litoka kama sijakuliwa na bed bug or anything. Like, I'd say I just want to give it to God because I've seen His grace, I've seen His protection, I've seen His favor. What was meant to destroy me actually built me. It helped me reconnect with God. It helped me read. And I left prison a very changed man, in the sense that all those books I read, I prayed very hard. I mean, I left there feeling 10 times stronger.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Umeenda jela ukatoka bila bed bugs. Eh?
Yeah.
Hii yako ni unique. Umeenda jela gani? Because ile yenye dapa manalienda. Ulikuwa na mruru?
Muroro is standard. Yeah.
Who are the people that kept you going while you're there? The people who visited you, maybe?
No, I mean family.
Or
My,
family?
yeah, I mean my family is always there for me. I had a couple of friends.
Okay.
Moja tu hivi. Typically, I'm not a person who keeps a large circle. Those who know me on a very personal level will tell you I'm not a guy who moves with the entourages. Like, hata nikikuja hapa nimekuja peke yangu. Nobody knows I'm here. You know, like, I try to keep a very low profile. So I don't have a lot of friends, but a lot of random people visited me, which is the craziest thing. Like, I'd just be sitting in the cell, and I'm like, okay, today I'm just chilling, and ambwa, we, Khalif uko na mgeni? I'm like, mgeni? And you go and you find, unijui but mimi ni fan wako. Nilisikia huko nikaamua kutembea. And I'm like, wow, those are the things that keep you going. Usijali tuko na wewe. Yeah.
Wanaandika kitabu huko ama
Nani? Ati?
wanakuandika kitu kwa kitabu?
Unapata hata kuna dem alikujanga but they never met her. Alikam tu akacha do. I swear. She just came. I think she left like 3K. Alikuja tu akacha do and the cops told me this lady came. She was shy of meeting you, so she just left money and said that you should have that. And I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting.
Lady.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
nice. So you were there for how long?
35 days.
Oh, you were just there for 35 days?
Wow, that's a long time, man.
Seemed a bit long.
And you know, let me tell you the tragic thing.
Yeah.
When the lower court gave us bail of 2 million bond, we did an appeal. And the High Court considered our appeal. So the High Court was like, okay, we'll just... Because the state opposed.
Yeah.
The state was like, nah, don't let him out, nini. Okay. But the court was like, we're going to give him, we're reducing the bond to 500,000. And another lower court, because the file was reallocated, actually gave me cash bail. So in one matter, they gave me, I paid like cash bail. The other matter, I was left with bond. So this is the interesting thing. It typically takes 3 days to process a logbook bond because we use the logbook title, a logbook. In my case, it took 3 weeks. Now here's the interesting bit.
Wow.
Day one, and shout out by there to everybody who was involved, my lawyers, even the investigating officers, because when the bond is being processed, they have to do their job of verifying. All agencies involved processed my documentation within 24 hours. Tulianza process Wednesday, remember? By Thursday, everything was done except one agency, KRA. KRA took a whole 3 weeks. It took my lawyer's intervention to go to Times Tower and camp there for 2 days. For them to sign a letter saying that they'd verified the PIN of the person who was placing the bond for me. So I stayed in prison for 3 weeks, not because we couldn't afford bail or bond, because that's a story that's out there. That was not the case. The case was that somebody was holding on my paperwork. And it took the efforts of my lawyer. Na hata niseme tu grace ya Mungu tu, by the way. Otherwise hata sahi tungekuwa tu mnaona tu online au hatujui ni nini. Cause we couldn't understand. Yani kulikuwa tu walikuwa wamedecide ni aje lazima akae huko ndani. Kabisa. So T for tough. So nikikwambia by then nimeona Mungu in crazy ways. It's crazy. I remember even when I was in prison, I got sick. But nikapona mysteriously after two days. Ikaisha tu, just 2 painkillers ikaisha. When I came out the first week, I got extremely ill. So ni ile ugonjwa ilianzia huko. So when I went to hospital, this guys I went to a friend's hospital and she tells me, you know, you're so sick. Actually huko na bahati tulikuwa karibu kukuadmit. So when unaangalia some of these things, you realize that God has a way of stalling things. I left prison. Somehow I was able to maneuver a few funds here and there. God gave us back Diamond Plaza. Now we have a dealership. When I went to prison, I didn't even have enough resources to set up. The companies had completely shut down. When I left, within 3 days, we were operational at Diamond Plaza. So for me, this is a testimony. I didn't come here to complain, to say I'm angry. It had to happen, and I've seen God's power through that experience. Because there are very many things that happened to me, and I can never change anything, and I thank God it happened the way it did. Yeah.
You're saying you left prison a changed man. What are the things that changed? Are you more calmer now?
Actually, true, I'd say I'm very calm right now. Yeah. Nothing scares me because I think I've gone to rock bottom. The only thing I'm here to experience is, and I pray to God that I never experience, is being admitted in a hospital. God has been very grateful to, faithful, because I've never gotten sick to the point of admission. But prison is something most people fear. I've gone there, I left, and I've not lost anything apart from a few kgs, which is not bad for my health anyway. I wouldn't say that ati nilienda nikatoka nikiwa traumatized. So I'm calm nowadays. I tend to look at things from a more wiser perspective, and reading the Bible also helped a lot, because out here it's a very rushed world. You see, it's currently almost 3:20 AM, and tukitoka hapa tunaenda kulala, kesho tutashinda job the whole day. How many times do you get to read your Bible and just chill and just go through your Bible? Proverbs. Usome your Proverbs yote. It's not actually not a very big book, but how many times? But you see, when God takes away everything, useparate you na the cars, useparate you na nyumba yako, you actually start appreciating everything in life. Nowadays, I don't complain. There are times I will pray to God and my tone was a tone of complaining. Nauliza Mungu maswali. Mungu, nini? Kwa nini hakuna do? Nini? But nowadays I'm like, God, I'm very thankful. Nimeamka leo na niko kwangu. Very thankful. I'm in good health. I'm very thankful. So it's really changed my outlook towards things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's something you would recommend?
No, I wouldn't. Honestly, I will not recommend.
Not about days you come out a change.
I will not recommend. Trust me. I will not recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the time you are getting taken to prison.
Yeah.
how many cases were active at that time? Because it's like you had a bunch of cases all together.
We had 3 cases active in Milimani. And the ones that took me in were 2 more extra cases that were filed when we went for a mention in Milimani, because I was arrested at Milimani law courts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they, and I mean, I was even asking these guys, I'm not a flight risk, Jatoroka, my passport is in court. In fact, at one point, the court gave me back my passport. I flew out, went, did my biasharas, Dubai, and came back and returned the passport in court and went to court and told the court, look, here's my passport, it's back. So I was even asking the cops, mi naishi hapa tu Valley Arcade. Si mngepiga tu simu mniambieni kuja station. Hii drama yote. And then I'm there, they always make sure the moment I'm arrested, mysteriously bloggers wako hapo, content creators,
so
marils zinaanguka. I mean, it's just a circus, but what do we do?
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think you deserved what happened? Did you have a role to play?
Let me tell you something.
Let's talk accountability.
Let me tell you something. Obinna, I've been in business for 10 years. I started my car sales career in 2014 November. Up until 2025 January, I don't have a single criminal case anywhere in the Republic of Kenya. I have dealt with thousands of clients. There are people I meet to this date. In fact, there's a guy who called me jana. Akaniambia, unajua uliuzia bibi yangu gari. I'm like, mimi nikakuzia gari. He's like, uliniuzia gari Moi Avenue 2017. In Kenya, there are thousands of people who can vouch for my reputation. I have employed very many people. I have supported very many young men and women to set up their own businesses. And there's a lot that we've done. Businesses experience challenges. And some of the challenges that came to my business were as a result of sabotage. They were not straightforward challenges. Some challenges were sabotage. And sometimes, even when you're persecuting a person, you need to look at the track record of a person. There's a number I kept on throwing last year. I kept on saying that last year, our company delivered 300 cars. 300 cars is not a small number. That's quite a number of vehicles.
Monthly?
No, that's for the whole year.
Okay.
So that will translate, on average, almost every day, there was a car that was getting sold that we were transacting. If we were criminals, do you know how much money we would have stolen from people? Kama tungekuwa tumedecide ni aje. How does it get that after 10 years, I decide to throw away a career that I've built myself on? The truth of the matter is that we found ourselves in a bit of rough situations that most companies find themselves in, which is very normal in business. It's part of the business cycle. And certain parties within the state, within business competition, decided to use these issues to settle scores with me. Some of these scores are business related, some of these scores are political.
And some are personal.
And some are, of course, personal, of course, online. There are people who, you can't, unless you sell ice cream, everybody's not going to like you. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Khalif Kairo is back. Diamond Plaza 2.
Yes, we are back at Diamond Plaza 2. We are not relenting. I am a businessman. God has given me favor. God has given me strength. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to claim back my rightful position in the industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Believe you're going to go back to number 1?
We will go back to number 1.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you already put a team together that's already doing...
Yeah.
Ama you are the team?
No. That's actually a good joke. A lot of small business owners wanakwambianga, we'll talk to the team. Na team ni yeye ndio marketing, yeye ndio finance. Yeah. Every business owner has gone through that. No, we've actually put together a team. I have a team of 10 young people that I trust. And these 10 young people, hao ndio tunajua tunafanya kazi now, and we are going to do great things in this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hawa watu wenye uliwaambianga kitambo that bike ya mtoto wako inaweza sponsor life yao.
No, let me tell you, hiyo kitu ilikuanga taken out of context. Okay. Twitter tunakuanga na banter. Na tumeishi kubantariana. Like, na mtu niliambianga hivyo ni Polo Kimani, and I keep repeating this every interview I go to. Polo Kimani is someone on Twitter, we would spend Sundays going at each other.
Yeah.
We don't hate one another. We didn't have any sort of beef. In fact, I've always said that all my offices it's Polo Kimani who does our CCTV. So ni ule mtu mwenye tutaingililiana online, yeye ataniambia ni aje, we kwanza, you know, we'd tell each other very funny things and people would like. But when my tribulations came, people screenshotted that specific comment. Na ukiangalia where that comment came from, it was banter ya Twitter, nile banter yetu ya Twitter. But people blew it out of proportion. And it was misconstrued to make me look like I'm a very arrogant person, like mimi ni ule mtu mwenye yani inaonyesha watu madhara or anything, which nothing could be further from the truth. Okay. Unajua nikwambie kitu, you know, Obinna, there are people in this town, bloggers are worse than murderers in my books, because for very little coins there's nothing bloggers will not write about you. People will say anything in this town. I agree. To get engagement, to get clout. They will burn your reputation. And I think that puts them at par with witches. I don't even feel guilty. Yes, unapata mtu, like there's one guy I see on Twitter, he's always going at me and I'm like, bro, bana, you're above 40. And bana, you spend your days attacking a kid who's 28, you know. So people blew it out of proportion. But it was banter, ni banter yetu ya Twitter. Na ukiangalia by the banter za Twitter, like watu wanaambiananga vitu mingi sana Twitter. But it's never that serious. In fact, you'll find Twitter people are some of the most out. Now forget about kwa online. Ukienda huku kwa streets, ni watu wanasupportiananga sana kwa ground. Utapata mtu akiwa na event, the whole team itakuja, mwingine akiwa sijui na wapi na bash, unaona wamekuja. So kuna kuanga na that, it's called what, you know, that whole, it's a community. It's basically a community. Yeah.
Hey, but that thing you've said about bloggers, bro. I've had a conversation even on the show here with tea masters. Nowadays are called tea masters. Kwanza TikTok. And I was telling one of them, he's called Gadaiga.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. And we're having a conversation, I was like, so this tea that you guys serve, do you care to verify? And he told me, no, verification is not my job. Me, I'm given a tea and I serve it. I'm like, but you know the minute you serve it, whether it is true or not, people believe it because they hope for bad news.
Yes.
And then you just sit down and you just know, bro, nimeandika kitu mbaya kuhusu Khalif ama Obinna na nalala tu normal.
No, I mean it's very, we live yani ni society, tuko tu society tragic. And it's one thing like inaniumanga sana as a Kenyan youth, because I'm like, Kenyan youths, we are very quick to tear each other down. Like the moment tu manze unaanza kudufiti nini, people start looking at you with a microscope. Yeah.
They're looking for mistakes. Or what they think is a mistake.
Hii shati Obinna amevaa hapana. Hii fabric ilitolewa Sierra Leone na ilifanywa na watoto wanafanya nini slavery. Na inakuwa agenda and let me tell you, the tragedy about it is that you might end up losing very serious gigs and very serious deals actually. Because as a result of that, inaitangwaje, your banter and everything.
Bro, it happens. It happens. Me, if there's something I've learned, what were my bloggers? They are called guns for hire.
No, they're actually guns for hire.
Unamuka hivi unapata story yako unasema, "Ai, Cairo, you know, Cairo ungeniuliza. Hata niulize nikwambie." Na unanasema wow. Then you let it go. Your highest and lowest moments when you are behind bars?
You know, my lowest moment behind bars has had nothing to do with me. You see, for me, at the end of the day, I put so much trust in God that nothing phases me under the sun. Even death itself does not scare me, because I'm a person who puts his trust in God, and I believe that as long as my mindset is aligned with God, with what God wants me to do, nothing should scare me under the sun. But the most tragic thing I saw in prison is how messed up the Kenyan justice system is. I saw kids who've been in prison for 2 years na kesi jaianza.
And nobody's bothering to follow.
Bro, jamaa anaendanga koti, in prisons zinaitangwa loketo. Anaendanga koti anaambiwa ni aje, kesi yako tumeigonga 4 months. Anapiga inda 4 months, ana bail ana anything, haizi ji-express. Unajua kuna mtu tu yani haelewi kizungu. Date yake inafika, anaenda anaambiwa ni aje, magistrate alipata ball. So amechukua leave 6 months ingine, tena anarudi. Bro, those are some of the things that broke my heart, because there's so much injustice inafanywa vijana wa Kenya, by the way, na hii system ya Kenya, that the moment unaenda jela ndio una appreciate and I actually made a vow. Mimi niliambia Mungu by the nifungulie milango. I don't know how, but I feel that ministry yangu inafaa ku in prison because there are so many kids who are suffering. Niliona Babu Owino juzi alipewa I think he became an advocate of the High Court. Yeah. And you know the first thing he did was to go and chomoa guys in Nairobi West. Yeah. Now you might think that probably Babu was paying $1 million in cash bail. No. Bro, there are guys in prison right now. Juan ameshindwa ku raise bail ya 1,000, 3,000. There's a guy I met. Other prisoners walichangi huo boy. He was I think 17 or 18. This boy has got nobody in Nairobi. Yeye alishikwa, akaletwa. The court was sympathetic, ndio aliachiliwa, but hakuna mtu anaweza mlipia bail. So he's just there. Hata alichangiwa hiyo 3K, akutu hapo. Kitu kingine inaumiza vijana is something, easy stories are defilement. Defilement is, you'd rather be accused of murder in Kenya than defilement. It's a very, very tough law. Ukiangalia vizuri, I'm not a legal expert, but if you look at it, yani threshold yake ya kukuwa convicted is very low compared to other cases. Na ikikuwai, sikia msema amepewa 10 years, life. So there's so much injustice happening, and even manze una feel mbaya. Ojo huko hapo tu kitu inakukula kichwa ni ati wakili wako amefikishana wapi bond. Kuna mtu wako hapo amepiga 1 year. Amekulia krisi 2 huko. You know, like that guy hana mbele hana nyuma. Those things really broke my heart. And unaangalia manze, you know how guys are running government and guys are suffering in prison like that. And pia unaenda tu kunje unapata mavijana wengine wanafanya tu vitu, and ultimately if you're born in the ghetto, ka uko Kayole, ka uko Ungwaro, ka uko Huruma, ka uko Bangu, there's a chance unaweza shiko na sanse ngori uyujui ujipate pale koti bro.
Imagine
kidogo wekewe robbery with violence na hiyo system ikumeze, and it's another world. Na uanze kuzungushwa hivyo, na kama una do bro, you messed up. That thing broke my heart. Mi freedom yangu iko inanikula kichwa, but that thing ya kuona those injustices, it really messed me up. Yeah.
Bro, I've heard stories about people in prison.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I've always wanted to go and do sort of exposés in prison.
No, you should.
Yeah, like I normally, we've thought about it recently, I've spoken about it. It's on our list of to-do things.
Yeah.
Like I want to go and sit down and do Obinna Show live with people in prison who have been wrongly convicted to just share their stories. Because the minute they do, someone will see and someone will. I just don't know if they can allow you to do that over there.
You see, it's a very rigid system, because the moment the courts hand you over to the prison system, you're in another world. You're in another system. Everything changes. And the most tragic thing about it is the fact that Kenya's judiciary is corrupt. Crazily corrupt. Obinna, you can be fixed badly. Mtu ataenda pale, aeke kesi, ipelekwe, a magistrate will take a bribe, na utanyimwa bail, and you will do nothing. Na utaenda huko na utaka huko. There are cases, because you see, the beauty about sometimes the court is that, you know, suspects are supplied with statements. Unapata mtu kwa hata ajui kusoma kizungu, namwambia ni aje, hebu nisaidie na hizi statements zako. You read the statements, yani literally hakuna kesi hapa. Ultimately, this person will get acquitted legally. But ukiangalia yani vitu mtu amepitishwa, ameenda koti, files zimepotea nini, it's very corrupt. And one thing that we should pray as a country, by the way, is that we should fend off all attempts to try and kunini judiciary. Because mimi, from what I gathered nikiwa in prison, is that I realized the lower courts are more corrupt than the higher courts. Sometimes, if people want to fix you, even if this system wants to fix you, they are highly likely to fix you using the lower courts. But the moment kesi inaanza kupanda juu, inaanza kwenda high court, inaanza kwenda appeal, there is a higher level of professionalism. But huku chini,
you know, up there the whole world is watching.
Yes, up there I hear even when they do their rulings, they have to record them. Yeah. So some things start making sense all of a sudden. You start understanding why there is a push. You see judges getting attacked. You think it's random. There are people wanataka niaje the same way koti za huku chini venye zimeingiwa na corruption, and not to say that the entire system is corrupt. There are very many people who are professional, there are very many magistrates who are professional, but truth remains, the lower courts are rotten to the core. And these guys realize, you know what, we can have our way with the lower courts, but the moment, but sasa huku juu kuna a level, kuna a certain higher level of professionalism. That's unaanza kuona hizi story online, oh sijui nini, we want to change. It's got nothing to do with at his justice. Wanataka ikue that wanaweza control the entire judiciary. And let me tell you, as a person who's been a victim, nimepitishwa through that system na nimeona venye vitu uchezo huko. It's something that as Kenyans we need to resist. And you're not resisting, you're not doing it for yourself. Tomorrow it could be you. Kesho itakuwa wewe. Tomorrow it could be your son. Kesho itakuwa mtoto wako atenda mahali adate kadem aekelewe defilement. Mtu ende ahongwe, mtoto arushwe huko ndani. So it's like judiciary ni kitu inafaa kuprotectiwa, na inafaa kuprotectiwa at all costs, because it's the last, as in hiyo ndio ile inaitangwa, hiyo ndio ile mtetezi wa wanyonge.
Last line of defense.
That is the last line of defense we have, man. Crazy.
Bro, the amount of people who are innocent in prison
it's
is
wild.
more than the number of people who are actually guilty in prison.
Yes.
More guilty people are walking outside here.
Actually, utapata, as you're saying, like maybe, man, I saw many disturbing things. Like, you're in court with a guy, unasikia amepiga deal ya 200 million. Wameosha mse. Guy is given 300k bail. I'm not kidding. Unapigo, hawa tu upewi. Bro, manze unaangalia, unajiuliza, yani, hii system, you know, you don't have a criminal record, ujaifanya any, ni makesi tu zimekuja, zimekupata tu off guard, but the way you're being treated, bro, unatreatiwa kama mkora, like you don't have anything, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, mimi naangalianga vijana wa hii nchi and what we did last year, and it gives me hope. It gives me hope that one day we will rise above tribalism. Na hii nchi itaraniwa venye inafaa kuraniwa. You know, tutaran nchi based on ethics, based on doing the right thing. Si lazima tukijaribu kuraise ukiwa kijana unakanyagiwa chini na wazae. One day tu, mimi nasemanga one day vijana wa hii nchi wata unite. One day. And we will change this country for the betterment of everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biggest lesson you learned while you're in there?
Put your trust in God, and you just need to allow God to take control. Sometimes God has an interest in, I'll sound like a preacher, but God has an interest in way, you know, when God allows bad things to happen, or when he does bad things, he still glorifies himself. When he does good things, he still glorifies himself. Mimi venye nilienda jela, by the, let me tell you, first day I was like, I made peace with the fact that I was going to start from scratch. I remember calling my mom, nikimshow, nikitoka hapa, I'm coming to your house. I'm going to move in with you, and I need to like reset my life. Unaona mimi ni plan zangu. Juu mimi ujanja wangu imeisha. Si nimefika jela. Sasa nimejua now, I might even spend another 1 year here. I had made peace with that. But amidst the chaos, amidst drama, God still opened doors for me. So nimelaniani achianga, wewe fanya the right thing. Obinna, kama responsibility yako is to show up on this show, to highlight stories, where do your part. Hizi vitu zingine zenye ziko beyond us, achia Mungu. Just do your part, show up, put in the work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think with everything that has happened, your reputation and trust is gonna come back?
Let me tell you something. You know, Kenyans are not stupid. Kenyans are not stupid. I'll tell you something.
No, we have some that are.
No, some
We do have
but
some that
of
are.
course akukosangi.
Yeah,
But then we can rightfully say that 90% of Kenyans are not stupid. 90% of Kenyans have seen my brand grow from scratch. They followed my story. The same Kenyans saw me last year when I was at the forefront of the Gen Z protests. The same Kenyans have also seen me mysteriously having a lot of criminal cases. And the same Kenyans have seen me go through the worst, emerge victorious, And the same Kenyans are still the ones giving me business. They are still the ones calling the company. They are still the ones giving us orders for cars, and they are still the ones supporting my content. They'll comment positively, what I like. Na nikienda street Obinna, hakuna place nimaienda hii Kenya mtu akanchukua mawe akaniita mwizi. Nobody. They'll always like, niaje, endelea kusukuma, tuko na wewe. Niaje, usiwahi give up. Niaje, una-inspire vijana huku nje. Continue pushing. So, trust na reputation, time will vindicate me. Unajua sasa nikikuja hapa niseme nini, it will not make a lot of sense. It might not make a lot of sense to everybody. But 1 year from now, or a few weeks from now, or even maybe a few days from now, but then we've actually started the process of withdrawing some of those cases. So the moment zote zimetoka,
what next?
Hiyo nini, hiyo hulabalu yote, hiyo kifua yote, and then what? So time will vindicate me, and God.
We do have a lot of people with opinions.
Yeah.
Brighton Okoth. God right now is asking himself, sasa Cairo, mimi ndio nilikutuma ukon watu. Mimi nilikwambia waambie watu wewe ni billionaire na utaenda Cayman Islands Kenya ikiungua. Finisimo msiba wa kujitakia. Adala D, nakumbuka ile kiburi ulikuwa nayo. We had someone here saying Jack Mike, ukweli ni this guy doesn't have 1 or 2 cases of conning clients. He has 15 cases surely. Na watu wanasi mpapa yenyewe, you guys deserve kasongo. Okay. The whole interview Obinna ameuliza lesson learned in prison. Joel Kiala anakuita John Kiriamiti.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Joel Kialo, the Bible part is diabolical. Promises and love. Sa Obinna anauliza maswali gani shuali? Elaris Taras, see who's talking about ethics and doing the right thing. Roivas achana na politics ba utarudi ndakas. Yeah. So kukosa kudeliver 2 million car when mkora, that is Joel Kialo again. And I'm seeing Joel Kialo in a couple of nini. Jack Mike, Obinna, the subject is what really happened, not prison reforms. Did he con his clans? When is he paying his clans? Gori ziishe simple. So we have a lot of people who know you more than you know yourself. And they have opinions about you with the assumption that they know about you. The same thing happens to me as well.
Yeah.
And you see even the way people talk and you're like, you don't know the story.
I'll tell you, there are 3 people you cannot lie to. The first one is God. You cannot lie to God. The second one is the devil. You cannot lie to the devil. You know, when the devil accuses you, shetani akisema bedhe last week ulifanya kitu mbaya, he uses facts when he goes to accuse you. And the third person you cannot lie to is yourself. You see a lot of people thought, now because they try to go after my reputation. Ideally, what most people would do is they would cower. They would hide. They would wait for people to forget. In fact, people were telling me, rebrand kampuni, jifiche. But you see, at the end of the day, me si mwizi. So I can't respond in a certain way ati nifurahishe watu.
Yeah.
And I cannot lie to myself. At the end of the day, mi najua niaje, I have done business. Track record yangu inaongea. Like hata juzi nimekuwa nikiona watu wakirepost magari zenye ziko na sticker ya Cairo. So for every one client who could say, look, we had an issue with Cairo last year, there's probably 30 or 50 who could say for each one client, hapana, umse tumefanya naye biz, tumefanya biashara fiti na tuko poa. So people will always have opinions. My responsibility is not to come here and convince people to change their opinions about me. My responsibility is to come here and basically set the record straight and say, hii ndio situation tulijipata. You understand? And unfortunately, shida hii maisha ni that life is not always smooth. Na kila mtu upata challenges zake depending on what sort of person you are. If kama uko at a certain level in life, you will get challenges that are equal and they're like of the same par. You are at the same par, at the same caliber, the sort of challenges. So kama mimi, this is a huge challenge for me because I'm a person who's trying to protect my track record. You understand? So that's why I've not sijatoroka, sijafanya nini. I'm facing my problems head on. We are engaging our clients. There are some that we've actually cleared. Secretly, chini ya maji, there are cars that have been delivered. And we're just waiting for the opportune moment. Once everything dies down, I'll be the one to call a press conference. And I'll tell people, niaje, we don't have any single case. And you can see that there are a lot of falsehoods being peddled. We don't have 15 criminal cases in Kenya. We only have, last time I checked, we only have 5. You understand? We only have 5.
How many cars not delivered?
How many cars were they? Sahi tumebakisha, we are actually less than 8. Most have been delivered. Zingine, we've done deals with clients. Some have even decided, you know what, Cairo, look, we'll use our own funds to clear the car, then we'll agree on a payment plan uturudishie do. And ni vitu zinaendelea in the background. That's when we notice of late, things have at least cooled down. Why? Because we are doing everything within our capability to address the problem. You see, a lot of people wish that we would have shut down the business. But to leo Obinna ningesema niaje, I've packed my company into receivership, or I've declared bankruptcy. The greatest loser is the client. But if we continue fighting, if we continue ensuring that the business remains afloat, it means that within the next few weeks or within the next few months, everything is going to calm down. But you see, people expect you, oh, amepata shida, he gives up. But mimi niko na fighting spirit and I cannot give up. Number 1, I need to protect my reputation. Number 2, I need to protect my clients. And number 3, I also need to protect my staff. Unajua watu wanafikirianga ukiattack Cairo, ukiattack biashara yangu, you only attack me. You forget that there are families who draw a pay slip from the work that we do. Easy reviews zenye mnaonanga zikifanya. If I open my WhatsApp, you will see actual inquiries from clients. People who come, buy cars, na watu wanatengeneza commission. Na hiyo gari kiuzo, kuna mtu atauza insurance, kuna mtu atauza tires. So it's basically a whole ecosystem. But you see, people just hate blindly. Oh, mzee alikuwa anaringa. Oh, mzee. People want to talk, people want to hate. But they don't want to go deep into the facts. And I'll tell you something. Tell me the biggest company on earth that you know. Tesla. Tesla has had severe financial issues. Normal. Apple has had severe financial issues. Safaricom at one point in the 90s huko, it was a company within Telcom, but ilifika mahali kukakuwa na stories of privatization. Why? Companies are always looking for ways to raise capital. And unfortunately, if you don't raise capital at some times, legal issues will always follow. Because it means, number 1, you may not be able to deliver products on time, and you might not be able to make your investors happy. You may not be able, the shareholders might not always be happy. So this is part and parcel of running a company. People think that running a business ni, hey, kila siku tutakuwa tunaingiza profit. Hey bro, tunatengeneza ka profit, tunalipa rent, tunabaki, enye nabaki nanunua Mercedes. It doesn't work like that. Businesses go into debt. There are cycles in business. People who did business, mnakumbuka kitu tunayotango the normal business cycle. There's a boom, there's a depression, there's a recovery. Even economies work on the same frequency. There's a time utasikia the American economy went into a recession. Banks folded. People lost their homes. The other times unasikia ni aje, the economy has a bear run. People are making money. Watu wa forex hapa najua hizo ndio terms wanapenda. Hizo terms kalikali za trading. But basically, business is basically the same way. But sasa shida yetu Kenya hata niwashow nini. We don't have an atmosphere that is basically conducive, especially for startups. Kenya bro, kupata loan number 1 ni shida. Me have walked to banks, mko na statement fiti, amyuko kwa CRB. Me have never been blacklisted by CRB. For the 10 years I've been an adult, I've always paid my loans on time. Hata sahi, despite all these issues, my personal CRB is green. But let me tell you something, Obinna. Today if I went to a local Kenyan bank, niseme niaje, Bank X nataka kuchukua overdraft ya 40 million Kenya shillings. Niende nisort ma pressure zangu ndawalipa in 2 years. Nobody is going to give you money unless you have a title deed or some sort of asset. The same doesn't apply to people who are doing businesses in places like Dubai, in places like the US. There are countries where based on your own cash flow. Unaweza mali na uchukue do. But sa Kenya, like, it's too toxic, manze. Kidogo challenges kidogo kwa biashara. Umse ni scammer, umse ni conman, umse ni nini. Sasa mtu anakuambia he is never operated a kiosk. Ukamuuliza tu, that's what nimekam kurealize. People who are in business understand me. In fact, they'll come and tell me. There's a one time nilikuwa nimeenda kumit jamaa Lavi, and a man came and told me, nataka kuku-encourage, na unafikiri uko na shida kubwa. But bro, I have a loan of 300 million. And auctioneers are coming for me on Monday. So stay strong. Have you ever had something that crazy? Unasumbuliwa na kesi hata hazijafika maybe even 10 million. But a guy is telling you, auctioneers are coming for me on Monday. Juu nimeshindwa kulipa deni ya 300 million. So business people understand. You understand? But mtu hajaichukua shilingi yake, ako corporate. Anagojea tu end month, 30th. Aone tu account has been credited. Ting, 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 ting.
Wanga 24th.
You know, wala sijuangi, 24th. So you see, for them, they cannot relate.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as I've said, we will still go on to build one of the biggest Kenyan companies of our time. Na hizi issues zote hizi tumekuwa nazo, I will be vindicated with time.
Yeah. Sikia Mama J, I definitely won't give money to a person charged with fraud. We have such people as well. The lady who was really pushing the nini against you, she toned down.
Actually, we settled her. We did. We have. The matter is due for withdrawal. And you see, I'm just going to expound something. These issues hazingewahi fika hapa. I'll show you an email. Me like speaking with facts. January of this year, I was scheduled to travel to New York around the 15th. Nilikuwa hadi nimebook ndege KQ. And the reason I was traveling to New York is because we were raising capital. You see, the sort of money, ukiangalia the way Cairo imescale in a very short period of time, it's nothing but phenomenal. But when a company scales very rapidly, one problem inakujanga is the fact that you need money to support your operations. Unaweza jipata mlikuwa mnafanya advertisement maybe za 1 million per month, but juu mmescale aggressively, mko na branches zingine mbili, you're not going to need 3 million. You had maybe a team of 30. You've grown very fast. You now have a team of 50. Salaries zilikuwa zinakuja 2 million. Now you might need 3 million. So around January, I was slated to travel to New York to meet investors. Some who had even approached me. Can show you the emails there on my phone. Do you know ile deni niliarestiwa nikiwa Capitol Hill? And those videos were circulated online. Do you know all my investor meetings were cancelled? I came, I did cleanup. February, someone advised me, now, investors might have a problem na hizi kelele ziko online, da. Why don't we do what's called a crowdfund? So a crowdfund is essentially, I have an American company. So a crowdfund is essentially where we go out and it's like a mini IPO where we like sell some part of the company ndio to raise pesa. In 12 hours Obinna, we raised 130,000 USD. That day nakumbukanga nilitumeongo email nikaambiwa na those American guys. For a company in East Africa, you have broken a record. Let's do a Zoom call. Tukae chini, tuongee, tuone venye tutakusaidia na history ya raise yako. Because we were targeting to raise $2 million if I remember well. Do you know Obinna was arrested the same day? That fundraise was cancelled. And everybody who had raised money, the money was refunded. I still have that email here. So unapata, sometime, someone thinks that by running to the cops, they are solving the problem, but they are not. You're just compounding the issue. Kitu tunge solve January, na maybe to release yedo, tungekuwa maybe tumefungua branch ingine Kisumu, branch ingine Mombasa. It's been, imefanya imekuwa kubwa. Sasa shida yetu kama ilikuwa shida ya 10 million, sasa tumejipata, sasa 3 months hatujalipa rent, 3 months hatujalipa payslip, shida yangu sasa imekuwa 30 million. So unaone ku compound haya. Ongezea the fact that hii time yote pia unapigwa vita na bloggers. Unapigwa vita bado.
So nipiga ua.
So nipiga ua.
All corners.
Unanyorosho na bloggers. So bro, like it even got, and I remember telling this client, look, I'm supposed to travel to New York on Monday. Even mnanishika sahi mnanicomplicate vitu. I found those tickets in court. The story in court was nilikuwa natoroka Kenya. And I'm not making this stuff up. This is stuff that is in the public domain. But you see, huko fast forward February, tumekaa koti, the moment nilienda kuitia passport kusema na travel, the court handed me back my passport. So, unaona that whole issue ya perception. Sahi mtu tulikuwa tunasumbua na hivi, already tulienda tuka-make steps, because their vehicle was amongst the first yenye ileta hizi issues zote. Because again, they were the first people to go online. We delayed their car by 2 weeks. Back in August last year, we had a slight clearing delay. Went online. Wametu delay ya gari. Bloggers picked the story. September, we lost orders worth 40 million. In a month. So those cash flow problems start compounding.
Wow. Well, Cairo is in the building, he's back. He's more holy. Ameshika Yesu. He's talking in a very calm manner.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some people who would like to see the sense in it, and they will. There are people who are not seeing any sense in it.
Yeah.
And of course, you'll not. It's how you want it to go. If you put him in a certain space and that's where you've locked the perception, whatever tickles your fancy, maze. Like amesema yuko hapa kuprove a point ama kwanza kuji whatever people nayo. So coming back to talk about the current situation, I saw there's another 1.2 million tax fraud case, I think that was on
now.
We're coming back to talk about
hatujarudi hapo.
Bado tunakuja to talk about that one. And also if you have any interesting question, you're going to be shooting it up. But for now, let's take a short ad break. We're going to be right back. Welcome to Goldchild Media Institute, where talent meets opportunity. This is the place where your media dreams come alive. And guess what? We've got something for everyone. Do you love the camera? We offer videography and photography classes. Action! Shoot! Take. Jesus. Nimepiga nani picha. And for those who love music production, yes, we have the course. Mpaka wale wama chiki 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 anguka sound and graphic design. And trust me, this is just the start. We offer so much more. Over here at Goldchild, it's all practical learning, no boring theory. Basically, here at Goldchild Media Institute, we prepare you with the real skills for you to thrive in the real world.
At Goldchild, I feel like a pro already.
Enroll today by dialing the number on the screen and find us in Nairobi Development House 11. All right, so there you have that one. We're still having a conversation with Khalif Kairo. He's back, he's getting bigger, he's getting better. He found God. Wait a minute, were you born again when you went to...
No, I've always been born again. Of course, I have my own challenges, but I'm a person who holds God very close, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're more spiritual even now.
Yeah, I've always been spiritual.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen there's a situation here for 1.2 million due tax fraud. What is this about?
So let me expound on that, and it goes back to the witch hunt by the powers that be. So last year, I got summoned by KRA, and the particulars of the way I was summoned were shady, to say the least. I made a video about it. First of all, I was summoned to Nyeri, which is not my taxpayer. I pay my taxes in Nairobi, but I was summoned to Nyeri. And the way that summon came, it did not come. Unajua kuna summon ya serikali inaweza kuja, ujue hapa this is war.
Yeah.
It came, we need your tax records from when. This was immediately after the Gen Z thing. We need your tax record from nini, wapi, nini. So I was like, hey, this guy is up. I was like that. And I made a video. And I was just like, you know what? We are being targeted. And I still believe that it lacked an element of fairness. So anyway, I honored the summons. I went to Nyeri. We had a long chat. So the point of contention was a vehicle we imported 2 years ago, almost in 2023. And they said that, now, in Kenya we use a system called the CRSP, which I'm reliably told, due to its inefficiency and inaccuracy, KRA is actually considering withdrawing for this particular financial year yenye tunaingia. So there was a mix-up with one vehicle. It was a Range Rover Vogue and a Range Rover Sport. So if you look at a Range Rover Vogue and a Range Rover Sport, they do look very similar, especially to the untrained eye. Now, for people who are conversant with the Japanese market, Range Rover Vogues from Japan don't come with a logo. Zingine hazikujangi na logo. They'll just be sold as Range Rover, Land Rover, Range Rover. Hazinanga logo, so they don't. The vehicle doesn't specify whether it's a Vogue or whether it's a Sport for the Japanese market. And what happened was, when the agent was doing an entry, they made an error. And they did an entry for a Range Rover Sport instead of a Range Rover Vogue. Now, the mistake passed the agent, because we were doing a lot of cars. In a month, we deliver 10, 5, 8 import units. Passed the guys at KRA in Mombasa. There's a whole team. Passed another team that does the gate work. Nagari katoka, and it was registered. So them coming last year to, come and hound me over that issue was a bit suspicious, but we agreed. We said, kama mmeinsisti gari ilikuwa Vogue, and then we did the checks na tukarealize a mistake had happened. We agreed to pay the difference in taxes. It was around 800,000 or around 1 million Kenya shillings. We agreed. So now, due to these issues that we've been having, the finances and everything, because we've not worked from last year November, we've recently resumed work. We were unable to make that payment. So while I was in prison, they sent another summon. Kaniambia ni aje, kuna hii pesa you are supposed to pay, you did not pay. The first stop I made the day I left prison was KRA Nyeri. I went to KRA Nyeri and I told them, now, I've just left prison, the business is not doing well, but we intend to pay your money. And I asked for a payment plan, which they agreed to. I have the contract over here. Just for your perusal, please go through it.
Can I read it?
Yeah, sure, you can read it.
From KRA, Investigations and Enforcement Department, Debt Payment, Installment Agreement, Taxpayer Name, Anchor Consolidated Limited and Cairo. The PIN is there, postal address is there, Nairobi, tax service, CBC, your number is there, email is there. Okay, outstanding taxes comes there is 1.2. Yeah?
Yeah.
1.283830.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we we agree to pay 1.2 in 4 installments, commit to pay 327 on the 20th day of every month, having paid 300 as the first installment on 30th of April.
So you can see that we made the first installment on 30th of April,
yes,
and we did an agreement.
Yes.
Undertaking to pay.
Yes.
Because we contended that, look, we agree a mistake happened, we are not in dispute. Now, this agreement, it's good to note, was done by the team in Nairobi. I went to the team in Nairobi, they sit at Upper Hill, I explained the issue. And KRA have been having a tax amnesty, by the way, Tax disputes are fairly normal in business.
Yeah.
Hizi vitu, they're very normal. Tell me why nimelipa hii kitu, I'm served with a warrant from Nyeri, a warrant of arrest. So I'm told, well, you are supposed to come to criminal court. So I ask, how do you charge me for a criminal matter na tumeandikiana agreement and I've done the first installment and I've undertaken to clear you by 4 months na mlikubali na tukaandikiana? In fact, the agreement says if I don't pay, they will literally freeze my accounts. So the ninis are there. It's there. It's here. This is the second page. Read.
Instruction taxpayer, if already completed by KRA authorized or proper officer fill in the information, this one shall be filled triplicate. Taxpayer shall require to provide Terms and conditions, this agreement shall remain in effect until the agreed tax debt is fully paid. Any unpaid tax area shall attract tax interest in accordance with the law. This agreement is based on your current financial status and determined in discussion. This agreement shall be in accordance with the tax and custom laws. While this agreement is in effect, you shall be required to be current in your tax obligations. If the total tax owed exceeds KRA threshold, a caveat may be placed on your non-movable property. KRA shall terminate this agreement if you do not make the installment paid as agreed, you are not current in tax obligations. Available evidence shows the debt revenue payment is at risk. 8. Failure to comply with the debt payment installment agreement shall lead to A. Revocation of the tax compliance certificate, KRA using relevant third parties to recover taxes due, KRA undertaking other legal enforcement actions including issuing distress warrants and departure prohibition orders. Number 9, the taxpayer representative or agent signing the agreement on behalf of the taxpayer shall be authorized through a letter addressed to KRA. Number 10, lifting of agency notices and distress notices, actions and departure prohibition orders shall only be on condition that the first installment as per the agreement is fully paid. 11, addition agency notices, distress notices or actions, departure prohibition orders shall be reinstated if the second and the subsequent installments are not honored as per agreement. 12, the completed form must be duly stamped by the KRA office for it to be valid.
So basically, the outline of that agreement is, this is a civil transaction between us, the taxpayer, a taxpayer that has been compliant for very many years, but we have a dispute. Again, it is a dispute of commercial nature. And the office in Nairobi has signed an agreement and we have made the first installment out of good faith. Tell me why after I've made this installment, I get a call being told that a warrant of arrest has been issued by a court in Nyeri. Anyway, to cut the long story short, last week on Monday I went to court. We explained to the court and I was released on a personal bond. So you look at the nature of some of these cases and it's pure malice. What is KRA, shida yao ni pesa ama shida yao ni Cairo? Tuambiani ukweli. Judging from this agreement, you can tell that the Nairobi office, they clearly make it clear that shida yetu ni pesa. If you don't pay, tutafuata account zako, tutafuata nini.
Yeah.
So why is it that another office that is 150 kilometers away insists that this man must be charged in court? I'll tell you the reason why. Because there are other people using those offices. And I have nothing personal against that office. They are very professional people. But hata wakinipeleka koti, you can tell they are acting under duress. Somebody is pushing these matters. Somebody has made it. Kuna mtu amedecide, huyu kijana arudi biashara. Kuna mtu mahali amekaa anaangalia niaje, anaona niaje, umse tumejaribu kumchafua jina, hakufi. We've tried to frustrate him, hakufi. Obinna, there are many things I've seen. Obinna, I've been in situations where we talk and agree with people, money is going to be released at date XYZ, and then they get calls on ambo msekio kijana pesa. Frustration.
Nyeri court. Clinton was from Nyeri?
Clinton?
Clement?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, that issue aside, I did go to court anyway, and again, they forced me to take plea in a matter that was criminal. Yet the dispute is because the issue is not getting taxes here. The issue is painting this guy as a criminal in such a way that hakuna mtu atampatia biashara.
Yeah.
Kwa sababu if I was a criminal Obinna, would I have made the first installment? No, you've come umeniambia ni aje yo tax. I've not gone to court because most people what they normally do wakijipata in such a situation they fight. They'll be like no nini let's go to court. That's why you hear big companies having tax disputes. I hate mimi spend vita. Let's sort this issue diplomatically. Pesa yenu ni ngapi? Ni 1.2 ni paying installments na I'll clear. But somebody still insists, you know what, we have to drag him to court and we have to make sure that the story leaks to the bloggers. I went to Nyeri court last week on Monday. By the way, it's good to note. This information was in court last week on Monday. How is it leaking today? How? And then when it leaks, I see it on Citizen, I see it on Cyprian Nyakundi, I see all the bloggers, and it's so well coordinated and I'm like, surely bana. I mean, you guys can do better. Case. Hey, he's ni fraudster. Fraud case na mmeandikiana agreement. So one thing that keeps cropping out of my cases is the fact that my transactions which are of commercial nature have been criminalized, and so that people don't think that I'm just coming here to make noise. This is a matter that is coming up for ruling tomorrow because we filed a petition in the Kenyan High Court, Constitutional Division or something like that. And our argument simply was that, you know, state agencies are being weaponized to frustrate me, maybe because of past stances that I've had, maybe because of my opinions, or maybe because of my perceived influence. So it's not kwani Obinna nimekaa miaka 10 nimeamua tu kwa mkora 2025 all of a sudden tu nimepiga biashara smooth miaka 10 fiti 2025 nika decide niaje wacha sasa nikuwe mwizi. You know, some of these things don't make sense, but there's one thing I'll say, at the end of the day, you know, God is the ultimate judge, and you know, time is funny because next year Obinna, we don't know where we are going to be. In 2 years we don't know who's going to be in power. We never know, and power is transient. Today you might think that mna frustrate tu kijana, wacha tumtoe biashara, let's push him to depression, but there's a God in heaven who sees. There's a God in heaven anafanya 1 + 1 anaona oh mliko mmeambush kijana hapa sawa, and one day people will pay.
Jackie Mike, Obinna, ask him about second installment of May. Has he paid? Now let me answer you. Why is it your business? Why is it your business? Secondly, is May over?
No.
Are we in June? But above all, forget that. Why is it your business if he has paid or not? Is it your business?
In fact, I'll be very honest. This story would have never been known. Ni kitu mimi nilikuwa nimemaliza. It's something I'm working on, I'm sorting. I had to address it because ni kitu inatumika kunipaint in a bad way. You see, some of the reason why you see me addressing some of these issues is because you see them being used online to create certain false narratives about my personality, and you have to counter them. But hizi ni vitu hata tunapitianga, tunanyamaza. Mimi Obinna, by the way, I'd sworn I'd never talk about anything political. I'd just go back to selling my cars, doing my own. But hata nikijaribu kujiondoa tu nifanye vitu zangu, these people just keep following me.
No, after rain, sun will shine.
Amen.
However, this is what I would say, and I haven't spoken about this online. What is happening to Cairo can happen to anybody. It can happen to me. It can happen to you. It can happen to you or you or you or you. Each one of us in this country at this moment are one phone call away. One. Kuna mtu anaangalia aseme hiki kiobina kinajionanga aje. Napiga tu simu aseme huyo Obinna hebu afanyiwe ABCD. And you'll just see one frustration after the other, after the other, after the other.
Precisely.
That is the same thing that happened to Cairo. And if you've done business before, you will know business operates with debt. Most businesses. And there has to be debt somehow. But if you believe that everything is going to be smooth when you're doing business, then you're not a business person. The business people know. The ones who are talking too much are the ones who are not in business or have never been in a scaled up business that deals with a lot of money. Wako zile biashara za kawaida. Hapana, unajua nini? But even people who are not in business have debts. All of us have debts. Uko na fuliza, mimi niko na kafuliza kangu, yako na okoa jahazi, yako na nini. Everybody yako na ka bank loan, yako na sako. People always have. So if you look at it that way, you'll see the sense in it. But if you don't look at it that way, trust me, you will not see the sense of it. No matter how many times Cairo will talk or whatever. And also people form perceptions. Though the perception they have on you, no matter what you say, Cairo, kuna mtu atakuwa anakuangalia anasema huyu ni mwizi. I know them. I've had people talk and I've seen them talk. Hata wako kwa comment section. Kila mtu, huu ni mwizi kwenda the same way, no matter what I do. Kuna mtu hiki kiubina kinakuwa na ego. Kinakuwa narcissist. Kinakuwa, but that's the perception they have. And they don't know you. And no matter what you do. It happened to Jesus. Jesus came akasema, huyu, he wants to overthrow this kingdom. He's saying he's a king, he's whatever. And Jesus was like, I'm just healing people and whatever. So, where I am and where I think you're getting to or you already are, let people do whatever they may. You also do whatever you may and let the world turn out to whatever is going to happen, because it's going to happen anyway.
No, I mean, true.
We just don't give up.
You know, at the end of the day, one of the biggest truths you can make peace with as an individual is you need to understand that no matter what you do, people will judge.
Everything.
So just find what brings a lot of happiness to you. For me, I think it's selling cars and planes, man. You know, the flying, the cars, that brings me a lot of joy. So for me, the biggest wish for me in the world is, please God, nipatie nguvu, nifanye kazi yangu. Sasa shida ni, unfortunately, based on the sort of influence that God has given us, we will also stand judgment if we allow some ills in society to continue unabated. If God has given you a voice, and a voice that can be listened to, speak out. If you feel that the country is going in the wrong direction, speak out. Sema. It's fine, they might come after you and everything, but you've done your duty. Ingine sasa ni ya Mungu. Yeah.
As we wrap up, as you're winding down, do you believe you're a social media addict?
I don't think I'm a social media addict, but I think social media is very necessary for the sort of work that I do. I see a lot of guys saying, we jifiche, enda offline, usiongee, nyamaza. But most of them don't understand that we live in a digital age. In fact, a time is coming when all transactions, kila kitu, hata hizi gari, mtu atakuwa na view na 3D, online nini, ana order online, analipa online, na gari inakuwa delivered, without ever having to have that personal contact. So for some of us, social media is very critical.
Amos the Third, it is condescending of Obinna to insinuate that all those critiquing Cairo are low-life people who shouldn't have opinions. There are victims who Cairo owes. They should have their say surely. Amos the Third, are you one of the victims? Do you have an issue with Cairo? Or you are assuming? About the whole conversation we've had until now, you are not even listening. And we are the people that I was saying. No matter what is said, you still have uyu alibia watu walifanya whatever. And in the beginning of the conversation, I said this, I'll repeat. For every story, there are three sides. There is Cairo's side, there is the other party's side, then there is the truth. The reason why I'm talking this way, and you see it's like I'm siding with Cairo, is because I've said it less than 5 minutes ago. Whatever is happening to him can happen to you, can happen to me, and any other person. I've been through situations myself that I've looked at, I'm like, yo. And I've spoken about it. Me always say, hey, ina ilifanyika. And some will still come, and you see it, and it's going to happen to you and any other person. And it can happen. So when you see someone going through a situation and you don't have information about it, maintain shut up or mind your business. But if you're there now crucifying people with limited information, and then you're calling it having an opinion. But anyway, to each his own. Yeah. Any clarification on Clement's interview? You saw Clement's interview?
I didn't even bother to watch it, because the Clement episode is, you know, I stated this in the other episode, and I said that it's a part of my life that I honestly wish I could forget and move on with my own life. It's been 2 years. I started a company from scratch. I left everything behind. Imports by Cairo is a project I started in 2017. By the time I was leaving Imports by Cairo behind in 2022, it had taken 5 years of my work, of my time. Literally, Imports by Cairo is the same age as my son. Ndiani ni watoto wawili, you know. And niliangalianga hiyo kitu. At first I never wanted to respond. I just wanted to like let it go, but I had to. And I will just say that me sina any hard feelings. I'm so focused on whatever is ahead of me, Obinna. Obinna, the future is so bright. The future is so bright. And I cannot pay attention to demons from my past. These are things I overcame. I overcame that bitterness of having to leave everything behind. I went, started Cairo. We found ourselves in these headwinds. But despite the problems, despite everything, I choose to focus on my current undertaking. Sina hiyo time ya kurudi huko, he said, they said, nini. Juu sisi wote tuko on the same level. Because you see, he painted like ni kama ndio I'm the cause of all his problems, nini. I feel like at the moment we are all on the same level. We are both starting off. Let time be the ultimate judge. Let us have this conversation after 2 years. Tuulizanange, na Cairo bedhe ako wapi? Cairo anafanya nini? Na Clement ako wapi? That will be the only vindication. But sasa again nikishinda pata nikiongea, niseme alinifanyia hivi, it's not going to change anything. But time will vindicate me.
True.
Yeah.
Currently in any active relationship?
Let me tell you something minor. Shout out Mainak again with a very good friend. Let me tell you, I think I'm jinxed when it comes to relationships.
That's why your relationships are very brief.
I don't know,
like a long relationship.
Apana, no, I'll tell you a story. I've actually had I had a very long, a very interesting relationship that was long. Had a lot of drama, with the mother of my child, and it was very complicated. And I decided, what, maybe I just need a fresh start. So last year I tried dating, but I realized that I'm actually married to my work. So imagine, say, Obinna, right now I'm going back to an empty house. It's currently 5 a.m. is approaching.
Yeah.
How many women will understand? 5 a.m. ndo naingia kwa nyumba, at 7 I'll be out. You understand? There are days when I'm so engrossed in my work, I'm trying to figure out big problems. So I make a very wrong or a very bad boyfriend. And also based on the fact that people cannot get through to me, they tend to go after the women I date, in the sense of attacks. Utapata, like in the case of Sarah and Wavinya, people know very well they can't get. Mimi, I'm thick-skinned. Mtanitukana, na nitakuja nitaeka video yangu tu hapo. Me, I don't even block people. Utanitukana kwa comments na nitaeka video 3 ndakubacha tu hapo ukiongea. But I realized that I need to date someone who's number 1 very strong. Na number 1 mtu anaelewa vision yangu na mtu anaweza fit kwa life yangu, which at this particular juncture might be a bit of a long shot. So I've decided, what, going ahead, let me just focus on the 2 things that matter the most. God, number 1, and the work that is given me to do. There's a lot of work. Meza yangu, intre yangu imejaa kazi. There's many things that need to be done. Watu wanaomba kazi. We need to build companies. We need to do all these things. And I don't think for me dating right now is a priority. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sasa umewachana nayo kabisa. Sema mambo kidogo.
Yeah.
Mambo ya mapenzi ngoje. Promises and love. Never promote an influencer. Tell me how Cairo is a victim. I hate it here. Promise and love. You do know it is a digital platform. You can actually stop watching. You know that's a possibility, right? Like you can watch something else that you like. You know that. Just check it. Okay.
Just to add on that, there's something interesting I read in prison, in the 48 laws of power. And there's a law that says never appear too perfect. Appearing too perfect attracts a lot of attacks and attracts resentment. So at times as public figures, we end up appearing too perfect. We live a picture perfect life. We have very good things going on for ourselves. And what it does over time is that it builds resentment. And what this sort of resentment does is that the moment you're going to run into some sort of headwind, it comes out as, like, people will judge you very harshly. So utajajiwa harshly kuliko ule mtu mwenye kuliko ule mtu mwenye yani watu wanajuanga tu anakuanga na issue zake. You'll be judged more harshly. And sometimes when you look at these comments, you just they wouldn't understand, but that law starts to make sense. Never appear too perfect.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
When you're too perfect, they also make conclusions based on pana haiwezi. Then now they conclude.
But then let me tell you the funniest thing. Before all these cases came and we had all these problems that we are dealing with, I used to battle allegations that I was in wash. Unakumbuka? Wash. Nilikuanga Cairo ako wash. Cairo hata even Illuminati, tena nini ingine. They also said that I was selling drugs. So because everything was very perfect. Business good, nini, deliveries left right. Huyu jamaa anaunda do. Headwinds kidogo, unimkora sasa huyu sasa. Now I'm waiting to see what will
the landing part.
Yeah.
They always find something. Yeah, you have to pass through those ones. So what I would say, keep your head up.
Asante.
Yes, personally, I understand things happen with business, and from what I'm seeing, that is where I'm coming from, the information I have.
Yes.
You see, there's a lot of information I don't have about you and about your business and everything.
Yeah.
But from the information I have, and I've checked this situation kwa upole.
Yeah.
I'm like, keep your head up. Just don't lose hope. There's a couple of young people that will inspire. They'll be like, hey man, Cairo didn't give up. And if you give up, they'll be like, if Cairo gave up, and also the people are waiting, you're like, yeah, he gave up. Yes, you're waiting. So keep your head up. You've been rock bottom.
Yeah.
Now even if it's a place that you go back, it's a familiar space. You're like,
niko maboy.
Hii kona yangu si ndio hii, wacha to check it, then we restructure, then we attack again. You are a young person. I don't like seeing young people going through situations, and I don't like seeing young people fighting each other. Like you find the people fighting us in the comment section are young people that we are trying to inspire, and we're trying to help employ and sort the unemployment issue in the country. And the same young people are the ones that are being used to fight, and you're like,
let me tell you something. One of the biggest betrayals I've ever suffered, or I suffered last year, did not come from a competitor somewhere. It came from my own staff. That is, and it taught me a very powerful lesson that, again, young people in Kenya, we are our worst enemies. Worst. Like when I was prison, nilikuwa julizanga sasa Twitter, so nimefungwa. Now are they happy? Kuna mtu ameongezewa mshahara ama kuna mtu alideposit? Hakuna. So it's just that tuna dragiana chini.
Yes.
But you see, it should be the opposite way. Because you see, me look at it from this perspective. If Cairo goes on to become a unicorn, like a very valuable company, it might inspire more investors from abroad to come and put money here. But ikianguka, wasosemange jamaa bedhe aliangusha kampuni na akaangusha na pesa ya watu. It just sells that notion that all Kenyan companies ni za wakora, vijana hawezi fanya biashara. So manze ni tragic, like it's very, very tragic. But now mi naomba tu bana, na to the ones that we inspire, I mean, Mungu wabariki, the ones who support, and the ones who still have their trust in me. I'm not going to fail you. We're going to keep our head up, keep supporting. And to the ones who don't, hata sijui niwaambie nini, lakini Mungu awasaidie tu,
It's true what you've said. Betrayal comes from within.
Yeah.
I'm currently dealing with one. Just lost my Facebook page the other day with over 700,000 followers.
Them. Insider.
From an employee.
Insider.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fired him a couple of days ago, and he decided to do the whole thing. And I'm actually from DCI today. It's being followed now. My wakili. Now it's a whole case and it's a young guy. And I'm like,
Me, let me tell you something. Some of the most damaging things I saw with bloggers, they were leaked by people I trusted my entire life with. I'm talking about people who at one point I would go even pay for my son's fee or go do that. And it's just personal, very personal errands.
Yeah.
Those are the people who leak information to tea masters. And unakaa chini. I don't know, Obinna, if you ever sit down unauliza Mungu zao unamuuliza, why did I sign up for this? Me, there's a day I used to tell God, the time was very low, even in terms of spirits, and I was almost close to giving up. And I used to tell God, si unitafutie kazi Colombia. I go fly there in the bushes huko, place ijulikani. I just do my flying na ustaki mzigo ya watu, because dealing with people is very hard. Because sometimes as a founder or as a person running a company, we do crazy sacrifices. People don't understand. Unajua mtu anaona hapo Obinna ako hapa. Mimi sijui kuna loan ngapi. Maybe kuna loan Obinna zinakukimbiza. Easy cameras. These are very expensive things. Maybe umechukua do mahali. Now people don't understand the sort of sacrifices you have to go through for the company to come and stab you in the back. Like it really manze ina hurting msee vibaya. Unaona ukipiko online na receipts zenye zimepeanwa kama kuna receipts zilikuwa zimedropiwa last year we had a small debt to the supply in the UK. Man, those receipts were leaked by people like people would have died for. And hey, but it's very painful. But sasa niseme tu watu tuna run makampuni ni Mungu anatuwekanga. You know nimekuguza pole. Naona hadi umeangalia kando. Don't worry, it's
the people that we trust. But hata mashida zitakuwa tuko Colombia. You know everywhere you go there's always just a colleague that you work with that something will happen. It'll just be there. Yeah.
No, but these things actually toughen you up. So whether unaangalia sasa yuko like okay. What next now?
Yeah. It happens. But now like you've said, it got to a point where you're about to give up, but you never did.
Yeah, I never did, yeah.
Now there's no stopping. Let's keep pushing.
Yeah.
And for the young people watching this, the sooner we stop fighting each other, the sooner we'll change a lot of things in our lives and in our country.
Yeah, no, true.
But by the way we are going,
Yeah.
we are not changing anything anytime soon. I saw the hate and beef that was spilled to Casmuel. And I saw someone speaking online, and he said something that made a lot of valid point that if Casmuel didn't go to Raila, probably he'd be dead by now. He went there for protection.
Let me tell you something. People ask me, why didn't you ever look for a political godfather? And I will not lie, there are days I told myself, I'm undergoing all this persecution, juu mimi hakuna mimi sina godfather. Yes, Jaji Align. You know it's true by the way. It's true. It's true. Tunaweza ona by the way umse like by that's a very good way to look at it.
Yes.
Kwa sababu mimi naangalia manze venye how these guys have come hard on me. Because unajua tu tuambiane tu kweli. There is nobody, hakuna mtu anaweza hizi vitu zangu if hizi ingekuwa tu ni normal conflicts na clients and what not, aingewahi fika hapa. But the forces that zimanze zinakupiga huko like yenyewe bana, itabidi sijui kama nikimbie huko kwenye watu wanaenda ama niende huko kwingine. But you see, for me, one thing I believe in Obinna, caste is the man who puts his trust on other men. That's in the Bible. So mimi I've always said, wacha nikufe nikisema nilikufa nikigojea Mungu.
True.
Yeah. And there's a verse in Psalms where David says, hakuna mahali aliwahi jipata Mungu akamuabandon. So I live on the same line that no matter how bad it gets, si kusema I cannot work with people, but I cannot run to a human being for protection. Mimi nikipigo hata leo venye nimeamkiwa, I always go down on my knees and I pray and I just tell God niaje, put away this cup or just give me strength and the perseverance to nini. But whatever you're saying makes a lot of sense. Hii hit si mchezo.
Yep. And we are fighting each other.
Yeah.
We fight young people.
Yeah.
I've seen the fight that is being given to all the young people who are trying to guide and trying to lead and trying to get positions of leadership. From Casmuel to Morara.
Yes.
To whoever, to Akina Gaucho, to Babu Wino, to Akina Ndini Nyoro. Salasia.
Very tragic, man. It's all shot up his command.
Yeah.
Very
and
tragic.
Seeing the way other young people are the ones mocking them and laughing at them on our kejeli, on our tukana, and I'm like, guys.
Because you know, I'll tell you the reason why. I was having dinner with somebody and he told me, you know, he's an older guy and he told me, shida yenu vijana ni mnaoneana wivu.
Yep.
There's somebody, may remember like during the Gen Z, there's any watu wataanza tu theory tu kukuhusu. They'll start pulling receipts. Sema angalau mseni ametunini, and that's how, and you see, that is what the people we are trying, or the let me just call them forces, because some of them are dark forces. The dark forces we are against wamejua ku manipulate hiyo kitu, because what they normally do, they know that hatupendani sisi wenyewe kwa wenyewe, so they will play young leaders against each other. So utapata ni aje Hanifa ataenda huko Twitter afanye vitu zake za, you know, yeye anafanya activism yake. ataatakiwa na mtu, yani na mtu mwenye tu ako within our circle kama vijana. Morara atakuja kesho aseme sijui naenda kufanya nini, again ataatakiwa na kijana mwingine. So unapata there are all these factions, and let me tell you one thing you people don't realize. The biggest fear that the Kenyan political class has is that one day the youths of this country have the potential to unite. Unajua kura zetu ni enough, yani kufagia hii nchi kabisa. Literally si ndio tuko na power ya kupiga reset buttons. Because ukiangalia wazazi wetu, me if I look at my mom and my dad, manze they are old, they are above in their 50s. Ano watu enjoy sunset ya zao, ana pressure mingi, you understand? Ukiangalia leadership yenye iko Kenya sahi, again they are older than us. Sometimes they may not see things the way we see. You see, they are still our parents. Much as wanajaribu wanatukanyagia, wanatufanyia hizi vitu zote, ni wazazi wetu and we respect them. But they don't see things the way we see. And sometimes they fear, you woga ndo wanakuanga now that we might come in and we will uproot things. And at times you look at this country, the country needs a hard reset, you understand? So what do? They play us against one another. A blogger who's 25 atachukua pesa kujiongelelea Cairo mbaya. An influencer who's 30 atachukua doa ndio ongelele mtu mwingine mbaya. So unapata tunapigana wenyewe kwa wenyewe. And that's why hatunanga leadership. History is doing leaderless. It's actually very toxic when you look at it, because there's no organization in the history of mankind that has achieved anything by being leaderless. Order, protocol, structure, very, very critical in any organization. So wanataka tuka hivyo tukiwa splintered, huyu anavuta huku, huyu anavuta huku, elections ikuje, and you know the votes will not make any sense. So we really need to stand as in vijana tunafaa by the tukae chini and we just stand pamoja and we support one another.
Divide and rule is what they're using.
Yeah.
This is what I'll conclude by saying.
Yeah.
Kama unipendi kama kijana,
support
kijana mwingine mwenye unapenda.
True that.
But usikue that unaona huyu kijana ako pale, then unampiga vita, lakini unataka kusupport kijana mwingine. Unaenda kusupport mzae mwingine mwenye amekuwa hapo for the longest time na haja change anything.
Yeah.
Then una feel like unafanya kitu ya maana.
Yeah.
Imagine si tunani waste. Ni wewe unaji waste. Familia yako, watoi wako in the long run.
Yeah.
Kama unaangalia unasema hiki kimorara, hiki kikasmwe, hiki kibabowino, hiki kinininyoro, hiki whatever, hiki salasia, whatever, whoever the young person is that is doing something and you don't like them, and they're just there hating on them instead of saying, because I don't prefer Khalif, I'll not talk negative of him, but I'll support Kevo because I'm more inclined towards Kevo. But when we come in a joto me focus on kutukana umse, ama kutukana umse, badala uchukue energy ku amplify ule mse mwenye una prefer.
No ni romba.
Tuchange. Aya anataka kuomba. Unatuibia. Hey. Mzangina nashangaa na Wakenya wasema mnataka nini? That is why me I said me and politics.
Let me tell you, Kenyan politics is a very nasty game. In fact, hata sisi ukiona tell guys we normally speak out some of these things not because we want to run for political office. I personally I'm never interested. I've never had any interest in running for political office. We speak because of these things because to make experience easy struggle za kutry ku make it kwa hii society. Obinna, there's no need for me kupitia hii pressure yote na kijana yako chini yangu tena apitie. It only makes sense when tuko hapa juu, we try and lessen the burden. And the only way we lessen the burden is putting pressure on the government to pass laws or to pass policies that make it easier for a kid in Maringo or a kid in Githurai hata eze kukuja kutoka block. Lakini sasa watu tunajaribu kusaidia watoke block ndo wanakulima zaidi. But it is what it is. But the beauty about it is, despite hizi vitu zote, ukosangi wale percentage yenye bado itakupatia support na watu bado unaweza you can utilize now.
Speaking of, on the 28th of June, I want you to come through for the men's mental health awareness walk. Vijana, wanaume, kamuni tutembee pamoja, madem, kamuni mutembee na sisi, mtuonyeshe mipango venye kunafanyika, so that we can work with men. A lot of men are struggling with a lot of mental health situations, and they can't show, because if you show, you are a weak one. And you know what weak ninis are done for? They are eaten alive. So men are like, I'll show that I'm strong, I'll do whatever. You guys have seen what happened to Macron today. One video of Macron.
Ametwangwa na
bana. Kinini na wife yake ndio like that's a whole president. And you know he tried to play it off and even try to walk kidogo. Dem akasema atashiki mkono yake. And people are playing it off. A few people talk about it, but nothing will happen. Kama ingekuwa the other way around.
That guy would be resigning by now. Angekuwa ameresign.
Saizi.
Zile routes zingekuwa France.
Bro, saizi. Kama ingekuwa the other, yeye amefanyia huyo dem hivyo. Angekuwa kwa jela na PDD saizi walai. Yeah, so that is what you've seen it, and it doesn't judge rank or level in the society.
Yeah.
Our fathers have gone through it,
Yeah.
our brothers are going through it, our grandfathers have gone through it, and they are quiet. But come, let's work together. So we say, hey, we just need equality. The way I'm not supposed to handle you is the same way you're not supposed to handle me. It's just that. We're not even saying at you, it's fine, you handle leave, fine, you handle leave, we're all human beings, let's respect boundaries. That when they so come through on the 28th, let's work together. And before that, on the 7th of June, I'm going to see you on my comedy special. That is My Mistakes. Come and laugh from most of my mistakes. Mesikia za Cairo. Kamuni musikie zangu. Zangu ni live wire pia. I'll be sharing them on the 7th of June. Kuja tucheke pamoja, tickets ziko pale mtickets.com. And tomorrow I have a couple of tickets I'm going to be giving you guys, inshallah. Or not tomorrow, today. From Cooper, Kenya. Pia wamebuy a couple of tickets for a couple of people. Kuna zile za Karenyamu zinapeana pia libai za wase kadhaa. Kuna zile za Tony Airo. Kuna zile za Rigiji. So a couple of people are coming through and getting a couple of tickets for the people. So as we've been hustling today from 8 a.m. right now is 4:42. Wow. Tumeisukuma. So how about we just end it here? Tumejaribu. Cairo, pole kwa kukuweka mazeni come 10 p.m.
Nashukuru.
Apologies, mambo imekuwa ni mingi, tukakuwa na backlog kidogo.
Haina shida.
Our previous guest pia kafunguka sasa. But it was a good thing.
Yeah.
He also went home a little bit lighter. It was
okay.
a good thing.
No, it's good by the way. Sometimes you speak.
Yeah.
Ongei kutoke.
Yeah, nasema inakutoka. Yeah, but guys, thank you so much for holding down the fort, and also the people who are watching, asanteni sana. Hatuwezi kuwa nafanya hii show bila nyi wase kwa mnacheki. Asanteni sana. I'm gonna see you guys on the next one on Wednesday. I'm gonna see you guys on Zabe. Alrighty. See you. Good morning. Adios, amigos.